Hello, peace seekers. This is Saniqua White popping in to give you a piece of my mind that will hopefully give you some peace of mind. Today, I want to talk a little bit about people pleasing. And that's because I have a lot of clients who do that, so much so that it is to their detriment. Now, one thing I will say about pleasing people in a general sense is that if you're wanting to please someone, make sure that it is on your own volition, that you're doing it that makes to make someone else happy, as well as it fulfilling something in you and making you happy. Pleasing a person should never be out of shame, guilt, obligation, fear, or anything like that. Something that is hurting you. If you have to hurt yourself to please someone else, it's not a good idea. Okay, so when I talk about people pleasing, that is really the sense in which I'm talking about it from. Like you are trying to please someone to the detriment of yourself. You are pleasing others to the point where you're not doing anything for yourself. You're not pleasing yourself in any kind of way. You think that it is selfish of you if you want to focus on yourself, and it is more selfless to focus on the other person. Because when you get into that frame of mind, if you're people pleasing with everyone all the time, likely you are being manipulated by other people, and it also signifies or indicates a self-esteem or self-confidence or self-worth issue within you. And that is what I want you to be aware of. So when I say people pleasing, I am not talking about it in the sense of throwing somebody a birthday party or surprising someone because it's Valentine's Day, or I'm not talking about pleasing in that sense. I am talking about something that is unhealthy for you, and you're doing it because you're lacking something. You're trying not to be rejected by another person. You're trying not to be abandoned by another person. You're doing this because you want to be liked or loved or something along those lines. So I want you to dig deep within yourself. If you are a people pleaser and you know it, I want you to acknowledge whether or not any of the things that I just mentioned are the reasons why you're pleasing other people. If you're just a natural giver and that is just who you are, that is what you do, it makes you happy, you are not drained after it, that is a totally different thing. That is a gift from God if you are a giver and that is why you please people. That is not the person I am talking to. That is healthy. That is a gift. That is something, your personality and who you are. What I am talking about is the person who is giving out of lack. You're giving because you need something to come back from that other person. You are missing something in your life, and you're trying your hardest not to be without someone or something to have some sort of significance in your life. So I want you to think about whether or not you are a people pleaser, and if you are, to what level you're operating from. If you're the person that I'm talking about that is trying to avoid rejection and abandonment and trying to get people to love and like you and to stay in your life, I want you to start thinking about where your lack of self-esteem, self-confidence, and self-worth are coming from, because that's likely what's happening to you. What is the catalyst? What is allowing you to allow other people to manipulate you, to drain you? If you are absolutely drained after a day of giving, and or even a moment or an event of giving of yourself, because you are never replenishing your own bucket, you're never re-energizing, recharging yourself, I really want you to consider putting a pause on the people pleasing, because you are in an unhealthy frame of mind for yourself and for other people. Because what you're for yourself, you're in an unhealthy place mentally and emotionally, because there is a lack somewhere, there is a fear somewhere, and those are unhealthy fears. That's a lack that you need to discover within yourself, and you not from someone else. Okay, so I need you to consider that, because also what you're doing is teaching other people that they can get anything that they want from you as long as they give you just a little niblet of something else in return, maybe even nothing, possibly just their presence. You just want them around, but what you're doing is teaching people how to use you, because you can be used. You're teaching people how to manipulate you, because you can be manipulated. You are going to have to take a step back, press pause on the people pleasing. I know that was a lot of P's, but press pause on the people pleasing so that you can take care of yourself, because you're not. If you think that you are fulfilling your life or your assignment or your purpose or whatever by pleasing other people, but you're getting nothing in return, and not saying that everything you do you have to have reciprocation, because that's just not the case. Nothing probably will ever be exactly 50-50. Nothing will ever be you give and somebody gives back. That's not always going to be the case. So that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, if you're always the giver, if the person on the receiving end never or rarely gives back to you, that's a problem. And you are the one who's going to have to check that, because a taker doesn't stop taking. The giver has to stop giving. And if you're a person that just wants to give, just change who you're giving it to. Sometimes you're going to have to give to yourself, because you deserve the same thing that you're giving to other people. And if you're not getting it back from other people, you have to give it to yourself, or you're going to run out. You're going to start feeling drained. You're going to start feeling depressed. You're going to start feeling overwhelmed. And to your conscious self, you may not even understand why you're feeling that way. But what I'm telling you is, you're probably going to be feeling that way because you're not allowing yourself to replenish. You're constantly giving, always giving, and rarely or never giving back to yourself, or rarely or never receiving things from anyone else. So ask yourself, am I people pleasing out of lack? Or am I people pleasing because I am a giver? It is a gift of giving. If you're being drained and defeated and depressed and overwhelmed and run down because of your giving, that is a problem. And I want you to be able to check that. I may come back with some follow-up videos to talk a little bit more about some things that you can do. But I want you to think about taking the things, if you find yourself in that situation where you realize that you're giving out of lack, I want you to take what you're giving to someone else and give it to yourself. Because when you give, you need to be giving out of your reservoir, out of your abundance, not out of your lack in this instance, because you are not recharging. If you always give or always try to give what you don't have, eventually you run out and you don't regain it if you don't find a way to give it to yourself. So I want you to check that. Sound off in the comments if that is you. I know this can be embarrassing when you discover these things, and I don't want you to be embarrassed. I don't want you to carry any shame, blame, or guilt about this. I want you to help yourself. I want you to improve your self-worth, your self-esteem, your self-confidence. So if this video is helpful, remember to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, sound off in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I'll be back with more. Until then, be proactive about your mental health, be well, and God bless.